Welcome to the Authority File. I'm Bill Mickey, your host and the editorial director of Choice. For the last few Authority File series, I've been telling you all about our new podcast called Patron Driven. It's coming up later this month, and we're really excited for you to hear it. It's going to be much different than the Authority File. It's a lot like the narrative-style podcasts many of you have probably listened to. It's much more story-driven. Season 1 is a 5-part series that follows 4 librarians through the destruction of the Lone Star College Kingwood Library after Hurricane Harvey, the 2 years it took to rebuild, and the new space, services, and relationships that emerged from it all. It's such a great story. It's got drama, grit, perseverance, and it's a terrific library success story. Patron Driven debuts in late June, wherever you get your podcasts. You can visit our website, choice360.org, to learn more about it. Click on the librarianship drop-down to find the patron-driven landing page where you can access more info and sign up for email updates. While you're there, you'll find behind-the-scenes bonus content for the new program, and you can check out the new trailer for the upcoming series. Okay, so back to the Authority File. We're at the end of another great set of episodes, and my guest for this 4-episode series has been Jill Grunenwald, Marketing and Communications Specialist at OverDrive, the ebook and audiobook platform provider that works with public and academic libraries. In this final episode, brought to you by OverDrive, Jill and I dive into the administration of OverDrive's Libby app and discuss the state of ebook purchasing and lending models. So I think, one of the things, and you've talked a little bit about this already, that makes Libby popular is how easy it is to use, and it feels like you guys are building in this idea that it needs to be as easy to use as possible, frictionless as possible. Can you talk a little bit about that user experience from how users sign up and that process onwards?
Sure. So we actually, for academic libraries, they can just use their email address. So the students, faculty, staff can sign up using the same credentials they use everywhere else in the school. It's really easy. So as long as they're in the system for the school, they can get onto Libby without any problem.
Okay. And is it incumbent on the user to sort of sign up? Does the library kind of pre-populate anything for them, or what's that process like?
The student would have to sign up, or at least go to the app and input their credentials, and they should be included in the system. But yeah, they have to actively identify themselves. Yeah.
Right. And then what if a title isn't available immediately? I mean, how does it handle holds and that kind of thing?
So holds are dependent on the licensing and lending model. So if you do have a book that is licensed and there's only a certain number of available copies, there is a hold system in place, and it works a little bit like a physical book where you wait until the person before you is done and then you get to read it. We do have a new feature that we call hold or deliver later, which is sort of a hold option that if you have a book come in and you're not ready to read it or you don't have time, you can deliver it to the next person and maintain your place in line and have it come back to you at a different time. So, if you're researching and a book comes up and you don't need it yet, you can say, have it come back next week and the next person in line can get it. So there are options though for lending models that sort of bypass the hold system because of the way that they work, where you don't actually have any holds or wait lists, and a lot of libraries take advantage of those.
So can administrators see those holds? And this is a question I'm just looping back to sort of the admin side of the app, and are librarians are they actively looking at the admin side, or is this sort of set it and forget it for them kind of thing?
It's a little bit of both. We do have a lot of librarians who go in and actively look at the holds list and what is on hold, how many people have it on hold, and make purchasing decisions based on that. We also have tools in place on the admin side that will automatically manage the holds. And put a cart together based on, a high hold ratio if needed, and they can buy it from there. So there's a little bit of both in terms of manually admin, and then also things you can sort of set it and forget it.
Okay. You talked about a little bit about the purchasing and lending models, and to the extent that you can, I'm wondering if you can go a little deeper on that and sort of explain how you know on the publisher side their own sort of lending restrictions or lending models. How does that filter through the app experience in Libby and enable sort of users to seamlessly kind of interact with the titles that they want?
Right. So yes, the lending models are set by the publishers, and in terms of the user experience, I don't know if anyone would really be aware of what the lending model is unless they get a notification that they have to put it on hold. Um, we have multiple lending models. The one copy, one user works a little bit like a physical book. The library owns one copy. Um, in forever, in perpetuity, and then it gets lended out one reader at a time. Our metered access content is licensed by either time or the number of checkouts and does require repurchasing. Simultaneous use, allows for no wait lists or holds for a given time, usually about a year. So you buy a book for a year, and anybody can access it however many times is needed. You buy those in packages, and then cost per circ also kind of bypasses the holds list in that you only pay when it gets checked out. So a lot of libraries will do the cost per circ in addition to a one copy, one user. If it's a pop book that's really popular and they don't want to buy 50 copies of it, they have
Right.
a couple, one copy, one user, and then they make it available CPC as well if possible.
Okay. Um, University press titles. I'm wondering, I know there are some represented on the OverDrive platform. Can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit more about that availability? How many have signed on?
Sure. So we
Yep.
have content from over 40 university presses, including Oxford University Press, the University of Michigan Press, Harvard Common Press, and the University of Kentucky Press, which is where I got my master's. So, yeah,
Nice.
so we have a very big range of university presses that exist alongside all of the other books that we have in OverDrive.
And then, can you tell, how are they tending to avail themselves of the platform? Are they just putting everything they have on there, or are they being very selective on what they're making available?
I believe they are putting most, if not all, of their catalogs
Hmm.
online. Yeah.
Okay, great. Um, one thing that we mentioned was using ebooks for course texts. Can you talk a little bit about the options OverDrive provides in that regard? There might be some subject areas or subjects that listeners don't associate with OverDrive, because they may be thinking of popular titles or
Right.
nonfiction, but there's a lot more.
There is. So we offer content from some major academic publishers, including O'Reilly Media, Elsevier, Cengage, Springer Science, Taylor and Francis, Wiley. We have, textbooks in terms of some science ones, medical ones, IT ones, among others. And then, of course, we also have publishers that have some crossover appeal, like W.W. Norton and the major trade publishers as well.
Hmm.
So there's a big mix of the types of content that can be purchased for an academic sphere.
Excellent. And do you have any insight into how these are, fitting in as course texts or being used?
I know that some libraries are taking advantage of, like we have Duke Classics, which is a simultaneous use, mostly public domain titles. And so
Hmm.
if those English literature classes where they need to read the classics, they can get them there without any wait lists or holds. One of my favorites is the LA Theater Works, which are full-length plays, but that are sort of performed, quote unquote. They're not just read line by line, they're actually performances. And so if for those theater students who are looking for an alternative to just reading straight text of a play, they can do it that way. And I think it's a mix of whatever the library needs. That's the great thing about OverDrive, is that if they want to use it for popular content, they can. But there's also that option to buy textbooks if they want to, as an addition to having students purchase them, or they can supplement the collection that way as well.
Mm-hmm. And there's foreign language titles available too?
Yes, we do. Yes. Yes, there are foreign language titles, both in terms of audiobooks and also ebooks. So there's a couple options there. If a student is studying the language, they can get a book in that language, or they could even do the audio if they need it for pronunciation as well. We also have language learning audiobooks and ebooks if they're looking to add to what they're learning in class. They can do it that way. We have a very big, I think 70 languages, maybe more, that we have books available in. And so it's a big wide range of languages that you can find content in.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, Jill, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. You just heard from Jill Grunenwald. Jill is a marketing and communication specialist at OverDrive. If you like what you hear, rate us or give us a review on your podcast platform of choice. And if there's a topic you'd like us to cover, drop me a line. I'm at bmickey@ala-choice.org. As always, sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and all of our episodes are produced by Choice's senior digital media producer, Mark Dirks, and digital media assistant, Sabrina Kofer. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.